And turn my ringer off. Okay, we are live. Welcome everyone at home. Welcome everyone here. Thanks for joining me this evening. We're going to have a sort of back to basics discussion, but I'm going to be doing something this evening that I've been threatening to do for a really long time. Before we have our grounding exercise, I'm going to have everyone write at least one, you can write more than one, at least one question. There's plenty of paper there. Anything at all about meditation or your practice or something you would like to have answered tonight before you leave. A comment or statement, an expectation, anything at all. If you need to, maybe more than one piece of paper so you have a little bit of something to write on there. And then, so it can be anonymous, you can fold it up and just pop it in the bowl here. So this will be a bit of an experiment. Does that one not work, Sue? Here.
I think it's broken.
Well, oh, it's an old pencil with no eraser. Okay. Anything at all. And of course, you can always decline to participate. That's fine also. For some reason, my camera is frozen. Well, it's always exciting with Google. I don't have a video feed tonight for some reason. All right. Thank you. Come on in. There's a chair there, beside me. And we're writing down an anonymous, if you want to, question about meditation or mindfulness. Everyone else's, I think. All right. And we'll have our grounding exercise in just a moment. They must have updated something in Google Hangouts because my video feed is frozen. Okay. All right. Okay, that's fine. Everybody that wants to write a question? Okay. And let's, would it be okay, Neil, to push that door shut a tiny bit so we can, yeah, great, thanks. So we're going to do a little grounding exercise. I try to change these up so you guys get different experiences, different tools that you can try to use if you like on your own. And this first one is about getting into our bodies or inhabiting our bodies a little bit more fully. And that's usually what grounding exercises are about, but some are better about bringing us really into the feeling of ground. And that's what I'm hoping you guys will get an experience of from this. And you may, depending on what class you've been in before with me, you may have had some version of this. So just go along with whatever this is for you this evening, right? Not what it was the last time that you tried it or experienced it. Okay. So the very first thing you're going to do is let your feet notice the ground. And so that requires probably having both feet on the ground. And you're welcome to have shoes on or off. It still works with or without shoes. And you're letting your feet notice the ground. And some things that your feet can notice about ground is the solidness of it. And maybe the fact that it's not moving at all. And you might notice there's a reliability about it. It's always there. It's never not there. And as your feet notice the ground, you're just going to do this one simple thing. You're going to give the entire weight of your legs to the ground. You're going to let the ground support the entire weight of your legs. And I know, your mind might come in and say it's doing that already. But for the purpose of this exercise, you're going to see if you can release the weight of your legs and let the ground entirely support them. And as you give the weight of your legs to the ground, you're just going to check the rest of your body for any small positive shift of any kind. Right? We're really good at looking out for the negative, for what's wrong. And then in this moment, you're just going to notice anything that resembles even the smallest positive shift. Maybe a decrease in tightness or tension somewhere, or shoulders just a tiny bit more relaxed, or breathing just a little bit more at ease. Or something that resembles being a little more firmly planted in the chair or heavier in the chair. And you're just continuing to give over your legs to the ground, giving all of that weight of your legs. Letting the ground support your legs entirely, 100% if possible. If not, give as much weight to the ground as feels okay to do. And then just take a quick scan of your legs and see if you notice any sensations that are there. Some common things that people find when they notice their legs or pay attention for the first time are things like tingling, coolness or warmth, some sort of vibration or trembling sensation, or a feeling of flow, fluidity, or finally some sensation of space or air, spaciousness. And then shift your attention again, noticing any tiny positive shift, whatever positive seems like to you, in the rest of the body. As you give the weight of your legs to the ground. And then as we end this exercise, you're just going to let yourself notice your felt sense of being here in the room now compared to prior to starting this exercise. Again, looking for any very small positive shift. Okay. And then you can just come back into the room with your attention and relax, not trying to direct your attention anywhere in this moment. And I'm going to take a look at your questions. Okay, so the first one we sort of just answered. What is a good meditation exercise to do every day to get grounded and or more mindful? So the guided meditation that we do at the end of class every time, really you can use any part of that meditation. There's a body scan that we do first where we're just paying attention with mindful awareness to each part, starting from the top of the head down to the tip of the toes. And you can also use breath awareness, letting the attention just be curious about, oh, where is breathing happening? And letting attention gravitate to that place where breathing seems to be happening most prominently. So the felt sense of the breath. And not changing the breath in any way, just hanging out there. There are all kinds of things we can notice about the breath, and that can be used anywhere in any moment. We can notice the quality of it. Is it deep or shallow? Is it slow, or does it seem to be faster than normal? We can notice the rhythmic quality of it, right? And the reliability of it, just like ground is always there, breath is always there, right? We don't have to make it happen. We don't do anything. It's just always there supporting us. And we can tap into the feeling of support that's there with the breath. we can pay attention to the pause that's there at the end of the out breath. Something you might not, if you didn't know about it, think to pay attention to or might not notice. At the end of the in breath, the the break or the pause is much shorter than the one at the end of the out breath. And that's because the out breath is a parasympathetic dominant function. That's the brakes on our nervous system. And then the in breath is the energizing or the sympathetic, the gas pedal on our nervous system. So that's going to kind of rev us up a little, make us less likely at the end of the in breath to just hang out there, right? But at the end of the out breath, there's that downshift. So every in breath has a sort of an up, and then out breath has a down or a parasympathetic quality to it. And that's where a lot of breathing exercises and chanting kinds of things utilize the parasympathetic function of the out breath. That if we extend the out breath, we're getting extra manipulation of the parasympathetic nervous system. So we can use that for calming. Okay.
Is in through your nose and out through your mouth? I mean, I guess that's kind of common sense, but would that be?
You know, I've heard all different kinds of instructions. Yogic breathing that's in one nostril and out the other, or some breathing that's in through the nose and out through the mouth. There are other kinds of breathing that utilize breathing out through the nose very intentionally, because there's a sort of parasympathetic activation that comes from that. So if you want to utilize or experiment with breathing, I think, you know, there are lots. If you Google breathing exercises, there's tons of stuff out there, but you really can play around and see what feels best to you, what works with you. The simplest one I see repeated over and over and over again is you inhale, count of 4, you hold it, count of 4, you exhale, count of 4, right? So you're getting an extension of each part of the breath, and you're shifting into left brain to do the counting, and that shifts us out of our more emotional reactive self, right? So breathing exercises have lots of elements that can shift us out of activation and into some sort of calmer state. Depending on how high our level of activation is, it might take longer, or other techniques might be more effective for trying to downshift really quickly. Okay, say anything?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. The exercise that we just did, paying attention to legs, giving the weight of your legs to the ground, is an excellent way to get grounded anytime, anywhere, right? Nobody has to know that you're doing that. Okay, we have one. What does it feel like when you're in a deep meditation? So I noticed that in this question there are more than one assumption, at least. So there's the assumption that it feels a certain way, that deep meditation feels a certain way, and possibly that way to everyone, which would not be the case, right? Everyone's experience is pretty darn subjective. And deep is also an assumption about either quality or effectiveness, or what doing it well, or what real meditation is like. And I would say that, you know, for folks that are pursuing something that they would call deep meditation, they may have ideas about what meditation is supposed to be like, or may have experienced transcendental meditation, or heard about people having really deep experiences of meditation. And I would say that, the same thing that I have heard Adyashant, the author of this book, True Meditation, say that, some people get very unlucky and will have a deep meditation experience, right? Transcendent, blissful, nirvana, something. And then they spend the rest of their lives chasing that, trying to get it back, because it's just an experience. Okay. And to put too much weight into a single experience, either trying to achieve it or trying to get back to it, leads us astray. And deep meditation can be considered or described by some people to be like a trance state or something that feels very blissful. I tend in my work now as a therapist, and specifically as a trauma therapist, I tend to view deep meditation and transcendental meditation, which I have practiced, as more like things people use for escape. And we can use meditation as an escape. Just be forewarned, it won't work forever. So you can do it for as long as it lasts, but it won't work forever. And then when you find yourself trying to chase that, you'll know, oh, it's, the wisdom of the body is that way. It doesn't let us hide anywhere forever. Okay. So deep meditation is going to depend on who you are and what you call deep. I think there's this tendency, very human. We have this tendency to compare and analyze. And I would say the best meditation is going to be one where we are aware of our tendency or our impulses the whole time. Like, oh,
that goes against the grain, doesn't it?
It does, right? Instead of trying to get somewhere, we notice the trying. Oh, look, there's that part of me. Wants to escape, it wants bliss, it's always gravitating toward the light and right? And there's value in gravitating to the light and the ease. But if we spend all of our energy chasing that, there's a little less ease there. There's a little less freedom there. If it becomes kind of like an addiction, like I have to have that or I can't be okay. Right? It's not okay unless I can get to the bliss place. We'll talk more about that one. Is guided meditation any different in quality or depth than using no thing, breath or mantra, etc., in your experience? So I think this question is asking about guided meditation versus silence or meditating without any kind of a guide or a voice. And in terms of, so we have the depth question again, right? Here's this common misperception about that depth is something really important, right? That there's this mysterious, right? The images we see on TV, right? Or the books we read about, right? Hours and hours of, right? Thoughtless, blissful, right? And then quality. So how do we determine quality? How do we decide, right? Is some meditation that we do not as valuable as other meditation? Okay. I would say that there definitely can be a quality factor. Right? We know if we're just hanging out on the porch staring at the clouds versus practicing, right? whether we are really practicing with our attention to compassionately, non-judgmentally allow everything to be as it is in this moment, right? Versus blissed out watching the clouds go by. We know whether we're practicing or not. And so I would say quality matches the level of earnestness rather than quality being determined by the number of times my mind wandered or how good it feels, right? How good I got to feel, right? How relaxed I was, or how much it matched how much the meditation matched my expectation of, or my desire for it to be something. Okay. I'd say you could measure quality by how often and well you could notice and relate to your humanness in a friendly way, right? With your foibles, your frailty, the wandering mind, right? If you're going to use a quality measure, I would say that's it. And then if you notice that you cannot kindly and self-compassionately bring yourself back, then you have compassion for yourself about how you can't compassionately enough, in your estimation, bring yourself back to breath or whatever you've decided to use as your focus. Does that make sense? Okay. In my personal experience, because I think this question is asking about my experience, I, after not too long at all, abandoned guided meditation because I quickly realized, that the silence was what I was really after. And after a while, if you don't need that crutch of a guide, of a voice or music or nature sounds or whatever the thing is that your personal like body mind configuration is attracted to, as you get more comfortable with silence, you'll prefer that. There's so little of it anywhere, right? We're bombarded by music and noise and talking everywhere we go. People fill up the space with talking, right? Fill up uncomfortable silences. And there's music blaring in every store, every restaurant, every corner. You can even go to some meditation classes that are gonna, you walk in the door and there's music playing. Right? Yeah. And so it's really individual. And I'd say for as long as you feel attracted to it or it works, use the guide, right? We can get to some really nice places with the guide. And it all depends on your goal. So if your goal is to be able to go to a really nice place whenever you want to, a guide's really helpful for that. But if your goal is to gain freedom from having to escape any moment of your life, right? The urgency, to not have to follow the urgency that says, I can't stand this, I need to get rid of this part of my experience right now. If your goal is to be fully embodied, to be able to be present for every moment of your life, because these are the only moments you get, then you might want to practice something else, something different, something like, what happens if I allow everything to be in this as it is in this moment? Okay. And I don't want it to sound like I'm judging any way of meditating whatsoever. There are tons of ways. Our meditation class here is very non-denominational. I might reference Buddhist concepts or Buddhist psychology, but also Christianity, spirituality, or God, or whatever, wherever the pointers or the wisdom is that I happen to run across, I'll present all those different flavors. But this is non-denominational. It's not really focused on making you learn a certain way of meditating, but I really want to offer people what, in my experience and in all my research, is the goal or the best thing that I can offer you, which is this way of being with your experience unconditionally that isn't about controlling it. Because pretty much every aspect of our human existence is about control, right? That's our ego-based imperative. Avoid what we don't want and have more grasp at what we do want. Okay, those two simple movements. And then when those two movements pause or we rest, right, there's the thing we're actually trying to get out of the guided meditation, right, or chanting, or some technique, some grounding technique, right? And that thing, I want the goal of the class that I teach is for people to discover that it's always there, right? I didn't give it to you. You didn't create it. You already own it. It's already there. And this way of meditating is about discovering that it's always and already there. You can be driving in your car to work tomorrow morning and ask the question, right? As the tension rises, when the guy in front of you is going 3 miles below the speed limit, and you can ask, what happens if I allow everything to be as it is in this moment? Right? You can do it anywhere. Right? It's not about forcing yourself to have a good time. It's not about forcing yourself to be happy. It's not about being fake or sunny side up. It's strictly about right here, right now. Right? No violence. We're not telling ourselves to be a good person or to calm down. Just what happens if I allow everything in this moment to be exactly as it is? And that's really what we're all after, right? That's freedom, when we don't have to rely on anyone or anything for our peace, our freedom, our happiness, right? That's the thing. That's true. That's truth with a capital T. Okay? Have I thought any more about a meditation retreat in this area? Yes, I have. I think what would be really helpful to me is if anyone who's interested in such a thing would email me. And a retreat would consist of, I think it would be sort of like a 3-day intensive. It would be 2 or 3 hours on a Friday night, 4 or 5 hours on Saturday and on Sunday, with breaks in between and meditation and probably a little bit of discussion, but mostly guided meditation and some silent, non-guided meditation interspersed throughout that. So if you're interested in that kind of a thing, please shoot me an email or a text or let me know. Okay. Is I am a good person only by thinking good thoughts. Oh, if I am a good person only by thinking good thoughts, would I be more inclined to not do good things? An example, I'm a good person just thinking, so why do?
Okay, this is mine. I'll be honest.
Okay. You didn't have
I know,
to.
I know, but it was
Okay.
so cumbersome because
Okay.
we've talked about being a good person
Yes.
and just thinking good thoughts.
Uh-huh.
You know, look at that person standing at the end of the freeway. I think.
Yeah.
Poor person, but I'm not going to put him in my car and take him home.
Right.
But I did think a good thought. So.
Oh yeah, the exercise from last time was to notice that your compassionate self is already operating. the example that I gave was, the person who's there with the sign at the end of the freeway exit, that we might feel like, there's all these homeless people out there, and shouldn't I do something, and what should I do, and I can't save everybody, and right, feeling kind of anxious or freaked out or upset or worried about that. And that the exercise from the last class was for us to take some time to just notice that part of us, right, the doing isn't as urgent as we might feel like it is, that we could notice simply, not discounting the self or the compassionate response that's already there, right? Our heart already is moving out toward this person who appears to be in need, right? And so then how does the good person part fit in?
But then I fall into, but I'm not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem enough.
Yeah.
Okay, I let myself off the hook. I thought a good thought.
Oh,
Off the hook.
So noticing that you are a compassionate person is letting yourself off the hook.
I'm off the hook. But
Is that true?
no, that's what it felt like we were going. Notice that you're a compassionate person. But
Right.
then I thought, well, what good is that? I didn't do anything about it.
Right. So notice how.
So then it was frustrating.
Right. So
I'm a good person, but I don't follow through.
Right. So there's a bunch of assumptions there. Is it okay if we explore those?
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first assumption is I'm a good person.
Because I had a good thought.
Yeah. What if you are a compassionate person, right? The compassion is there because you noticed, and there's some, the twinge in the heart, right? But what if you're neither good nor bad? You're a human being.
Okay.
Right? With a compassionate response. Right? And so then, do you need to jump immediately to I am a good person versus something else?
Need to?
Yeah.
I don't need to. I just do.
Okay. And what if you just notice that you just jump to that automatically?
Oh, I did notice.
Yeah.
And then it was frustrating because I noticed that, okay, I took the next step over the edge.
Yeah.
So then I didn't know what to do with all that.
Right. So I think that it would be a really good idea for you to continue to sit with that discomfort, right? Not torturing yourself, but exploring the discomfort even further. Like, can you be really curious and kind with yourself? Like, wow, I start to notice my compassion toward other life. And then immediately something comes in and closes it down and says, well, you can't be a good person because you're still not doing anything. Right? So the compassion is noticed that moves out, and then suddenly zero self-compassion for your suffering.
Right.
That's the part to notice. Okay. You get me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
you can work on it.
You can report back next time what you discover.
I'll work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love.
So you see, that was so much, and then it was kind of. It's like, how do I
really it was hard to explain the sequence. I love the real life examples because I think everybody here gets exactly what you're talking about. I really appreciate your bravery for.
I needed help from all of you, so it was self-serving.
Okay. All right. So we're going to switch to because I think I've talked about almost everything that I had here. So I jotted down a few quick notes, and then we're going to take a break before we have the guided meditation. Just that meditation can be a tool or a resource used for inducing calm, and lots of people use it that way. That's how lots of people get started with meditation. I mean, it's everywhere. Oprah and every single magazine and TV, I mean, it's on the news, it's everywhere. Meditation is probably the most studied mental health tool that there is on the face of the earth right now. So, it's really not a bad thing. However you get to it, however you come to it for whatever reason, great, right? And it's likely to change. The reason that you do it and what you do with it is likely to change over time, and that's okay. You start wherever you are, whatever you want from it right now, that is okay. Okay? And there is an aspect of training the brain. We're training the brain to be more compassionate and more positive, or noticing the positive, because our human brains are, like all mammals, are designed to notice and remember danger. We're like Velcro for the bad and Teflon for the good stuff, right? You can tell me every shitty thing that happened to you last week, but you might have a harder time telling me the best thing that happened to you in the last week. Okay? We're just designed that way. There's increased self-awareness that comes from meditation practice, potentially. We can avoid overriding ourselves, right? Ignoring our needs and overwhelming ourselves, overworking ourselves. We can increase our compassion toward ourselves and others when we realize we might be unnecessarily beating ourselves and others up. We can communicate more accurately, because if we know what we're experiencing, boy, that simplifies things when we're trying to have a conversation or get our needs met. We can identify our experiences more correctly, more accurately. I mean, it simplifies everything. It helps us figure out where we're trying to go, because if we know where we're starting from, it sure helps a heck of a lot. And then there's the higher goals of self-actualization from meditation. We can stop habitualized patterns because we can see them. We'll suddenly be able to start seeing them. We might see through beliefs like, oh, holy crap, that's not me. I don't believe that. That's my dad, or that's a teacher, or that's somebody else. I don't own that. And what do I really believe? And we can be in greater contact with our own authenticity, spirit, truth, self, God, whatever label you have for that, however you conceptualize it. Be in greater contact with that touchstone, right? Our true self. That phrase, trying to find yourself, figure yourself out, right? That's something that meditation can also do for us. Put us in greater contact with the thing that we're constantly trying to find, right? Who am I? Okay. So let's pause, restroom break, have your phones turned off, go exercise your legs a little bit. We'll come back here in 5 minutes and have our guided meditation. Okay?
Okay.
And this book is here if anyone wants to take a peek. I'll set it on this chair. And let's see, I will haven't been here in a while, so I'm just going to give a tiny bit of instruction. One of the things I really love about Adya's approach to meditation, he says, I don't care if people are sitting up straight. I don't care about posture. I mean, there's definitely probably an efficiency or an energetic thing that happens if your spine is aligned and you're sitting in a relatively centered, upright position. But in truth, it doesn't matter. When you're first starting out, really the only thing that matters is for you to be comfortable enough that the chair isn't going to be your main focus of your meditation. Okay, so first thing you want to do right now is check and see if your chair is comfy enough. And if it isn't, we'll try to find you another chair. Okay, and there's always the cushion. If somebody really wants to do the cross-legged, I can show you postures for that, but I don't do that anymore. I sit in a chair. Sometimes I even sit with my legs straight out in front of me. So main thing is just to be comfortable. I recommend both feet flat on the floor, but I still have people who meditate like this. Yeah. So it's really whatever works for you. Eyes can be open or closed. There are lots of different positions for hands. Mainly you want to be aware of whether the position of your arms and hands would be straining your shoulders at all or pitching your shoulders forward at all. So you just want your shoulders to be able to be in a nice, relaxed, fairly centered position, and then whatever feels natural for your hands. Some people feel like palms up feels too vulnerable, right? Too open, and some people don't like palms down. So it just depends. You can also, another easy one is just resting one hand inside the other, whichever one feels most natural to you. So it's going to be whatever feels best for you as a resting position. And then what's recommended if you need to shift during the meditation is to pause before you reposition your body, right? Because we have this automatic response, and that's something you're using meditation to explore. The reflex of an automatic response to your discomfort or to any part of your experience, right? Whether it's dismissing it or adjusting it or calling it bad or calling it good, you're starting to get familiar with this automatic reflex. Okay. And so pausing before you adjust can help not only with becoming more aware of that, but it seems like it can prevent the need to constantly adjust then for the rest of the whole session. Okay. Any lights that people would like to have out? Okay. Okay. And the only thing to remember throughout this entire meditation is that your job, as you listen along and follow along as best you can, is to notice. That's it. That's your only job. It might seem like your job is to meditate well, but actually your only job is just to notice. And there are 3 things you want to incorporate into noticing, if you can. Friendliness, non-judgmentalness, and a curiosity. Those are the 3 components for mindful awareness. Curiosity, self-compassion, non-judgment. Okay, so friendly, self-compassionate, like, oh, there's that human part. The mind wandered again. Oh, let's come back. Okay. The quality of the adjusting or noticing really matters here. I would say that the quality of the noticing matters even more than the noticing itself. Okay? Because that's the relationship that you have with yourself, with mind, with all of your experience. Okay, so in your fairly relaxed position, you're just going to bring your attention to the top of your head, and I'm going to start the meditation timer. And the bell will go off 1 time to start and 3 times at the end. And I'll give you a little bit of a heads up when it starts to come. Oops. And as you turn your attention to beginning to notice the top of your head, you might notice some sensations there, or you might not be able to find anything at all there. But whatever you notice is just fine. And you remember that your only task, your only job is to notice. So you could notice tension or tingling or heaviness, coolness or warmth, anything at all. Just being as friendly as you can with whatever you notice. And then gently let your attention shift to begin noticing your face. And you might be aware of some areas in the face right now that carry tension, perhaps around the eyes or the mouth. And you could experiment with letting your eyes sink back into their sockets, or letting your tongue go completely relaxed and limp in the bottom of your mouth, and noticing what that does to the muscles in your face, jaw, neck. And then as you feel ready, you'll just leave any remaining sensations right where you found them in your face, and let your attention move around to begin noticing the sides of your head, ears and temples, maybe part of the jaw. And again, you might possibly notice tension there. And you could experiment with imagining letting your ears drop slightly as a way of relaxing some of that tension. So you're just checking to see what happens after you let your ears drop. And taking a moment to be with whatever sensations remain in the sides of your head after you let your ears drop. And prepare to gently shift your attention around to the back of your head and neck to notice whatever you find. And the area back there in the back of the head and neck is a place that's difficult to voluntarily release tension if you find any. So you could just make a silent request for some relaxation. And then see if you can be open to whatever happens after you make that request. All you're doing is noticing. Being as friendly as you can with whatever you find. Perhaps there's a positive shift, perhaps not. And then go ahead and gently prepare to shift your attention again, this time noticing your shoulders. And that noticing is going to begin at your neck, at the sides, letting your attention roll across the tops of your shoulders, and then pausing every time you hit a joint on your way to your fingertips. So you're going to notice the shoulder joints briefly, and then scan down your upper arms, front and back, pausing at your elbows, noticing those joints, and then scanning forearms, front and back, pausing at wrists, noticing those joints, and then letting your attention scan the entire length of your hands all the way to your fingertips. And take a moment now to scan your left arm all the way from your neck to your fingertips, and you're just noticing any impression that's there, being friendly with whatever seems to be there, tingling, tension, coolness or warmth, achiness, restlessness. And doing the same with your right arm now, from neck all the way to fingertips. Just noticing. And then pause briefly to see if you can notice both arms simultaneously. And then gently prepare to shift your attention again, this time to begin noticing the core of your body, the center, starting at your throat, scanning down the front of your body, noticing throat and then upper chest, gravity pulling your attention downward, noticing diaphragm or that space between chest and belly. And then noticing belly and lower abdomen, all the way into your hips, and noticing the way that your hips are supporting you in the chair. And then scanning down the back side of your core, starting at your neck, and noticing your upper back, mid back, just below the shoulder blades, and then noticing your lower back, and just letting yourself have a moment to be with any area that seems to carry discomfort or tension, or whatever area your attention seems to be drawn to in this moment. If you don't notice any area of discomfort, you could just experiment with allowing your belly to soften, seeing if there's any tension you weren't aware of. Then you could breathe in and out, of any area that seems to carry discomfort, being as friendly as you can with whatever you find. And then gently preparing to shift your attention to scan the lower half of your body, starting with where your bottom is seated in the chair, preparing to scan your legs, tops and the backs of your upper legs, and then pausing at your knees to notice the knee joints. And then scanning down your lower legs, first the front, and then the back. And scanning all the way down to ankles and pausing there for a moment. Noticing heels supported by the floor. And scanning your feet all the way to the tips of your toes. And you're just noticing any sensations that might be there: coolness, warmth, tingling, tension, vibration, restlessness, achiness. Being as friendly as you can with whatever you find. Noticing left leg from top to bottom, and then right leg, and then feeling both legs together at the same time. And then preparing to shift your attention to begin noticing the place where breathing seems to be happening for you. Just letting your awareness gently rise up to meet that place where the breathing seems to be coming from. Whether that's at the nose, cool air coming in, warm air exiting the nostrils, or sensation of air moving in the throat, or rising and falling of chest or belly. Just noticing where the impression of breathing seems to be the strongest. And you might use your curiosity to explore that pause at the end of your out breath for a moment. Just seeing what happens if you hang out there for a moment. Not altering the breath in any way, remembering you're just paying attention, you're just noticing. And then gently allowing your attention to widen and notice other things happening in the present moment alongside the breath. You might notice sounds in the room or from outside the room, the feeling of the chair or the ground underfoot. Or the sound of the breath. The sensation of your clothes, or temperature in the room. Or the contact points that you make with the chair. Or anything else that's happening in your experience in this moment, whether that's thoughts moving through, or sleepiness, or restlessness, or any other emotion. Remembering that your only job is to notice. And as an aid to that noticing, you can introduce this question. What happens if I allow everything to be as it is in this moment? What's the experience of that? What's it like to let go of the controller, the one who's trying to get it right, to meditate well, to make something happen? What's the experience of allowing everything to be as it is? Of not being in conflict with anything in this moment. And you're just noticing. There's not an answer to the question. You ask the question and then pause to notice what happens in your experience. What's that like? What if I give up even the meditator right now, the one who's trying to have some sort of experience? You could ask, what if I even let go of that expectation? And you might notice when you ask the question, what happens then is silence, or space, a feeling of spaciousness, even if only for a few moments before the mind starts to come back in. And thought is not a problem. You just notice, oh, thinking is happening. And then you remember that your only job is to notice, and you just come back. Just gently bring yourself back to noticing what's happening in your experience right here in this moment, right now. Even if that is sleepiness or frustration or wandering mind. No part of your experience has to be left out. You just notice it and stay with the noticing. You just keep coming back to the noticing. And you can introduce the question as often as you like, as often as needed. You can keep having ever deepening levels of letting go, asking, am I really and truly allowing everything to be as it is? Am I truly and deeply allowing everything to be exactly as it is in this moment? And then noticing the experience of that. So, as we reach the end of this meditation, you're just going to take another minute or so to savor the experience of allowing everything to be as it is and noticing that you didn't actually have to do anything. Actually, all you had to do was nothing. Right? This peace, this space is already always here. The thing that you're looking for is already here. And you can get back to this place anytime just by asking this question: what happens if I allow everything to be as it is in this moment? Noticing the experience of relinquishing effort and striving. And as you feel ready now, go ahead and send some energy into your arms and legs and offer gentle movement to fingers and toes, taking as much time as you need to transition from this space, bringing your awareness back into the room. So nice to be with you all this evening. Thanks for coming. If you have any questions, you can always see me after class or email me or call me. I'm happy to answer any questions about practice or your experience or anything at all about what we talked about tonight. Namaste.
Namaste.
You're welcome.